Mr. Ikeda's Journey 9, translated by Chan Bun Jao, illustrated by Debbie Yap. The first character, Shi of shizi or lion, means teacher or mentor. The second character, Zi, means child or disciple. The lion represents courage, dignity, youthful passion, and resolve, which frequently appears in Nichiren's writings. Mr. Ikeda encourages everyone to persevere and triumph in all circumstances. 1972 to 1974. The encounters, dialogues, and fostering friendship. It all starts with encounters and dialogues with people to foster friendships that transcend nationality, skin color, language, and culture. In May 1972, Mr. Ikeda arrived in the beautiful city of London, the capital of England, surrounded by abundant lush greenery. In fact, 2 years ago, during the fall of 1969, Mr. Ikeda received a letter from England. It was a letter from the world-renowned historian, Dr. Arnold J. Toynbee. I would like to discuss the various problems facing humanity with you. As Dr. Toynbee was over 80 years old and his heart was getting weaker at that time, Mr. Ikeda decided to visit him at his home in London. The dialogue between Dr. Toynbee and Mr. Ikeda took place in May 1972 and later on in May 1973. Their dialogue accumulated to a total of 40 hours. How can human beings overcome all the problems and survive in this age? Through their earnest dialogue, Dr. Toynbee found hope in the wisdom of Buddhism shared by Mr. Ikeda. Dr. Toynbee then told him, "You would likely receive more honorary doctorates than me. From now on, please continue to engage in similar dialogues with more people from around the world." He gave Mr. Ikeda a list of world's leading thinkers and entrusted him with this mission. The dialogue between them was published in the book titled Choose Life, and it has been translated into close to 30 languages. Even today, it is widely read by many leaders around the world. In May 1974, Mr. Ikeda made the first visit to China. He traveled to many places during the visit, including schools and factories, where he was able to interact with people from all walks of life. He also met and talked with the national leaders. At that time, the continuous tensions between China and the Soviet Union had been escalating. In addition, many Japanese people at that time viewed the Soviet Union as a dangerous country. In September, Mr. Ikeda made his first visit to the Soviet Union. Responding to the many people who criticized and questioned on why would he visit the Soviet Union, Mr. Ikeda said, "We are all human beings. I am going to the Soviet Union because there are people there." Mr. Ikeda met with Premier Kosygin, and he assured Mr. Ikeda that the Soviet Union had no intention of attacking China. 3 months later, in December, Mr. Ikeda made another visit to China. He conveyed the words of Premier Kosygin to the leaders of China. On the last night of his visit, Mr. and Mrs. Ikeda were invited to a place. Premier Zhou Enlai was standing there, waiting for them upon their arrival. The place that they went to was the hospital where Premier Zhou was admitted. "I must meet Mr. Ikeda, whatever the cost." Going against the advice of his entire medical team, Premier Zhou finally met Mr. Ikeda. He knew clearly about Mr. Ikeda's efforts in restoring friendship between Japan and China. Premier Zhou entrusted the young Mr. Ikeda with the mission to open up the path of peace and friendship between the two countries. To be continued. Translated from the December 2018 Kibo Journal. the Soka Gakkai monthly newspaper for the junior division,